Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 37 of Egginburgh, our Cities Skylines 2 build. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It's been a while since I've been in this city, of course. Our trip to Finland occupied a good few weeks of videos. However, now we are back, and we're going to start working on the new town, which was named by Kramers about a month ago now, of Scotchdale, of course, keeping in line with bourbon, Inverness, and whiskey. I really love the name of Scotchdale. So we set up this time frame quite a few weeks ago now, probably about a month ago actually, we actually set this up, before we got distracted with rebuilding transport hubs and doing other things back in the city. But it's time to get involved in some small town vibes today. Got a nice little town on the edge of the map with some highway connectivity, train station running through here as well. Now, Edinburgh's supply and demand chain has kind of collapsed a little bit, I think because we've been placing multiple unique buildings, which then starts to demand huge amounts of resources from the production chain, which we are not producing, so we might have to do a little bit of plopping around here today. But we do have a little bit of office demand, so I think we'll actually open the episode with a little bit of office space in and around the train station, particularly on these side of the car park. So let's let these grow in, and we'll probably fill a little bit of space. That should be enough to bring that demand down a little bit. And then I think as we arrive into the town, of course, we've got this big kind of sight line having with the elementary school at the tip of the road there. And then I think coming into this one, I'd quite like to have some row housing opposite the train station. So let's have a look how deep we're actually playing with here. We've got 4 tiles deep. Again, since we have no medium density demand, I'm just going to go ahead and plop a selection in here. Let's throw in our filter for low density. We will ask for only row homes. And then I want my lot depth to be 4. And I think we'll probably limit this to the European selection, since I do tend to prefer the European buildings over the American ones. So let's just get a little selection of row homes in here. So that's going to fill out a nice block for us. I wouldn't mind having some low density around here as well, so let's just zone in that little bit of demand we've got. Again, I'm going to stick with the European stuff. And I'm not too precious about any specific zoning sizes over here, so these can grow into be whatever they like. And hopefully now we'll start seeing some people move around our city here. Now we do have a big work hub over here, of course, that we set up quite a few weeks ago again, to a little industrial port we've got on the coast over here. Due to Edinburgh's relentless industrial demands, I think we are in need of another major container port. We do have them in the city. There's one over here, of course, and then one over here. But these are just kind of cargo harbours placed within generic industrial areas. I would like to develop kind of a major cargo port for the city to help bring this industrial demand down a little bit. I'm not sure where we can really put that. Maybe an expansion of this one over here. It's pretty limited buildable coastline on this map, as you can see. It's likely to be over here, but that'll be a future build anyway. Cool, so these are all growing up. Let's have a look what we're going to do at the front here. I think with the space up along the front, how about we look to turn this into a bit of a green belt? We'll have a pathway run all on the front, and then let's bring in a nice tree here. Let's go for a row of birch on 15 meters. And we'll just have this as an adult one. And hopefully this should look quite nice. I really want to let this, I guess what we're repurposing is a bit of a municipal service building, kind of breathe today. I don't want lots of zoning around it. So we'll have that in there. And then that should be pretty nice there, I think. Maybe some more rocks to develop, but really want to respect these kind of sight lines that you can see from basically the 2 sides of it down this one as well, I think. With that in mind, let's reshape how this road flows around here. Can we bring you straight into the little switchback, I wonder? Not too bothered about the shattered zone in here. And then I think we'll do that same thing again with the pathways around the edge of the building. So let's line it up with the middle of the junctions. And then we'll bring it down into the spaces where it makes sense. Let's go ahead and get the pedestrian crossing in there as well. Cool. And then I reckon we can repeat that little birch pattern. Wonderful. And thanks to the new detailers patch as well, which you haven't really played Egginburgh since this patch arrived, have we? We can now place just the occasional random rock and boulder, which is a very, very welcome addition. Of course, we would have seen as well that the prop line tool is on its way, or the vanilla experience, which is very good. I think when that arrives, we will begin our noob's guide to Cities 2 once that line tool is here, which makes the detailing significantly easier. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's turn our attention to other service buildings for this area. Of course, it doesn't really have any. So we've got our school, of course. We also have a small police station here as well. So let's have a look at a fire and rescue spot. So where would be a good spot for this? Again, with these assets, I always like to repurpose them into churches. So why don't we see if we can find a nice little spot for a graveyard somewhere in the town. We'll have our residential as we come in. We'll definitely develop a bit more of a commercial centre around here. So I reckon maybe... How about this little spot just on the edge of town? How are we doing for terrain here? Let's have a little look-see. It's not super flat, but I don't think I need it to be. Let's isolate this little one here. So we'll have our fire station up on the corner. I'm going to use the better bulldozer here. I'll set use move it first. Drag that up into the corner. Something like that. And then I want to use the better bulldozer just to remove the details off of here. I don't want the fencing. And can we delete this? We can, yeah. Probably don't need the gate there either. Yeah, we can delete all the fire and rescue sub-signage off of it as well, which really helps the repurposing of a church vibe come in a little bit stronger, doesn't it? So I'll be happy with that. That can be our church here. And let's pull up a fence. Let's go for a simple net lane. Maybe we'll stick with... I can eye up the same hedge here. I think it's one of the smaller ones, is it? Hedge low seems to be pretty correct there. And then we'll use the end of the texture on the fire station there to set the boundaries of our church. Let this come back down into there as well. And then I wouldn't mind a little bit of a bush lining along here. Just to help settle in that edge of the concrete a little bit more. I'm on a line tool, we'll come down to maybe 3 meters here. And maybe a little bit smaller than that actually. And then we can have our pathway move through the church. I think I'll stick to the grid snapping here. Also come up with anarchy as well. And then we can use this as a pathway. That goes through the graveyard. And of course we can bring in a couple of different gravestones through here as well. Also allow another side entry into the graveyard as well there, shall we? That's going to fill a nice little block up for us here. I also wouldn't mind some more workspace around this way. So where are we gonna... It's going to be the end of our design there. I wonder if we want to maybe bring this alleyway down onto the main street. Something like that, I imagine. And then let's go ahead and do some more workspaces in the town centre. We'll have that one there. Can we squeeze in a very tiny car park here too? Let's see what we've got. I just noticed Dome's parking has been separated into its own tab now as well. These poppable car parks are very cool. There's even some new ones here as well. I haven't seen these. It's covered. What's this one? This is a very nice one, isn't it? Oh, that almost looks like the repurposed bus station, doesn't it? That's a very cool asset. This is part of Dome's parking collection, by the way, if you're wondering. We'll show this off. Yeah, if you just search for Dome's parking on Paradox Mods, you'll be able to find it. It's a great little collection of more ploppable parking assets, which is nice. We'll have another final zone in here. And then let's bring in some trees. Let's do a couple of oaks knocking about. Let's turn off our snap to surface here as well. Maybe some smaller bushes up against the side here. What I like about kind of moving back to small town builds, like as much as I have enjoyed building up Bourbon and Inverness and all the larger towns, there's something just so soothing, I think, about scaling back a little bit and building out some smaller towns, which the map size in CS2 allows us to do a little bit better these days. Let's do some poplar rows against the car parking here too. Wonderful. So really filling out some nice city blocks here. I was talking about the bus, wasn't I, which I never finished. Yeah, so as I was mentioning, there is a big work hub over here to this town, so I think it would make sense to have a bit of a commuter bus, especially running from the train station over to that cargo port. So let's have a look at that. The nearest bus depots are going to be well far away over in Bourbon. Let's have a look where that is. Yeah, there's one over here. How many spare buses does this one even have anymore? There's not a vast amount, is there? So maybe it is time also for a new bus depot too. But let's maybe see where we can work this one in. Wouldn't mind having it near the edge of town here. We on board with this? It is a little bit slanty, although we can use move it to help ourselves here. Let's set everyone down to a somewhat sensible terrain layer. With terraforming to follow, of course. And that just make that building sitting a little bit easier, won't it? Let's bring in some level terrain. And a little bit of soften around these more harsher edges. Which is heading up to the railway line here. I think we'll definitely do some texture work around this. Some of the surfaces, I mean. Cool, so we can have this service pretty much all of our rural buses, because there will be some heading over here as well. Maybe even one back to the refinery, although that is a fair old way, isn't it? Maybe it won't get too much use of that bus line, but there will one day be things between here and there, so it can come in at a future date, I think. So in terms of where the bus is going to stop, I would like... Can't put the shelters on this road, can I? No, it has to be the regular stop signs, which is okay. So with people getting off the train station, I'm pretty sure they walk down here, don't they? So let's have our European stop sign here on the way in. And then I guess it can loop in, turn around. Do we want to send it further into the town? I guess we could do, couldn't we? Why don't we have it come and stop over here by the office and what is essentially a main street? It can then find a loop around that to come back in this way before stopping again outside the houses. And then we'll ferry off into the cargo port, which, where's the best place for this to stop? Probably down this main street, I imagine. So let's do one here. It can stop both times as it loops around. And then it can just go back out and complete that loop. So it's going to be a pretty short one. So let's have it run across here. I don't want it to double back on itself, so let's add a waypoint onto the line. It can stop here, stop again at the loop, and then it can come back into the city here. And then we'll add that waypoint over here, for example, so it follows the other way around the town centre there. And we should see the buses emerge from here. There we go. Let's give them a little colour change as well. And this will be the Scotchdale Industrial Shuttle. And let's make this maybe a nice yellow to indicate the fact it is a industry associated bus line. Very nice indeed. So we're also starting to get a bit more low density around here too. So I'd really like some houses to kind of back up onto this train line. So I reckon we'll start spreading some of the low density love over here. I do want to be a little bit specific about these ones. I don't want it to be too deep. Let's maybe stick to 4 around here. And then we can probably keep that pattern growing all the way around the edge as well. I did mention some surfaces here, so due to my inability to tear myself away from Sully's riverbed texture, it works everywhere. I think we're going to run just a bit of a dirt pattern against the rail line here. Probably up until where it joins the bridge. And then just have it roughly follow the tree line. Something not too dissimilar from that, hopefully. Should just help change up the texture a little bit there as the train passes through. Very nice indeed. I know I can probably run a fence along here as well, actually, which doesn't play too well on terrain. But I think a little bit of kind of chain link fence in here, and we can get some nice overgrowth around it, just as a bit of a safety barrier up and against the train line. Let's have it kind of cut through these houses here and roughly follow the edge of that texture. Doesn't have to be exact, and I guess it can just stop at the road here and then follow up to the zebra crossing. And that should be quite nice there. I'd definitely like to fill this space here, so we'll trim a few of those trees back. I guess if we've got a house in here, we can just continue with that vibe. up and against there, I think. Yeah, also starting to see some population arrive, number of taxis. There was people getting off the trains. Oh, and finally using the elevated pathway as well. Very nice. I'm glad to see that that is getting use. Oh, we could do with expanding this, actually. Let's grab the vanilla pavement pathway. I wouldn't mind coming up to here. We have to use up to 7.5 meters. Now let's bring this down. Strip back some of those trees as well. I'm pretty sure they're also gravitating toward the pathway here as well, so I'm going to delete that fence lane there. And then can we grab the texture of the station here? We kind of did. Well, let's just bring that up to the pathways. Let's do one here. And then we'll frame it around the base of that hedge. There we go. That opens up some prop work for us as well during the detour and time-lapse. No, I'll tell you what, we'll probably reposition a lot of these hedges as well. I did notice there was someone waiting for an ambulance, and these guys are a fair way from a med clinic. So why don't we grab one ourselves? Use the small one, I think should be pretty appropriate here. They're placing more services around this kind of municipal centre. We have a med clinic, police station, fire station just a little bit further down the road. I'm pretty sure we're also on the verge of not having enough death care as well. Yeah, the crematorium availability is very nearly done. So we could also place another crematorium down here as well. So let's maybe upgrade this road here. We'll place our crematorium down and then just spin it around using... move it. Let's go for... here. Is that going to frame pretty much perfectly? I think it is, isn't it? Very nice. It is, however, sloping downhill a little bit. So if we could maybe bring this one up here and any surrounding nodes to avoid potential awkwardness. We're best off just totally redrawing this road here, actually, aren't we? Yeah, I'm happy with that. That allows to have some death care for this side of the city as well. And this shouldn't need any upgrades for quite a long time, if at all, really. Wonderful, bit more low density as well. So with this industrial demand, I really do want to try and fix it. Although since we started the City Showcase series, it's been pretty evident most people tend to suffer with the production values Egginburgh's having issues with. Particularly with grain and petrochemicals seems to be a big issue. So I think if we plop some industry down here, now I almost kind of want this to function as a bit of kind of local light fabrication industry as opposed to factories or any kind of like major production chains. So small fabrication plants, light warehouses, etc. Now, I wouldn't mind having a little bit of this along the waterfront, almost like it is kind of a mini port. Maybe smaller boats and whatnot can traverse this smaller waterway back out into the main ocean. That'd be a pretty cool vibe to run with. So we've got these basic frames here. Why don't we start piecing something together? Let's come into our industry. And really looking for these smaller buildings. Nothing with smokestacks. Those smaller manufacturing units. Have a little what we can piece together here. That one's probably a little bit too big for me. So probably in the range of nothing 6 deep, I don't think. A lot of this stuff over here should work quite nicely. Now we're already getting some companies in here. Let's see what they're producing. Timber and wood, chemicals here. Petrochemicals, that's really companies we want to see. And then I'd like to try and draw in a little bit of a port here. A bit of a mock harbour, if you like. Let's go on to our angle snap as well. And probably cell length as well. Let's do 92 meters out into the water, which may need to be raised up a tiny little bit. And then just some simple marina structures like we've done a million times before. We'll do little 28 meter stretches. Almost like a tiny little loading bay here. And then let's grab all of those nodes with move it. And we'll set them all to this middle height here. I think it seems pretty sensible. I think we can get away with that. Sort this shoreline out a little bit too. And then I think because we're playing with such mental terrain around this little town, so we'll have a look at some more retaining walls a bit further up. We'll soften that out. Wouldn't mind some little rock retaining walls around here during the detour time-lapse as well. using some of the rock props. Something like this. We are slightly in the water here with these bottom nodes. Did we definitely set these to the same height? No, I think we might have missed those ones out. That's going to be fine there. Hopefully we're getting some more businesses in these as well. These haven't filled out just yet. So hopefully they will as time goes by. Pharmaceuticals being made here now as well. Okay, and then we can fill this out at the back as well with more ploppable industry. With this one up here, this is where I wanted to bring in some more retaining wall action. If we can possibly just flatten out to all the same height here. Cool, this will give us some more zonable space. Wouldn't mind some industry up here, but I think we'll keep the industry down by the water. And then we can almost have associated office administration space up on the hill here. And then let's use the road upgrade tools to force in some keys against this way. Pretty much there, maybe on that side as well. And then let's soften out this terrain just to expose a bit of that key wall, maybe a little bit harsher than that actually. Come down to like here. Just want it to be visible from the waterfront so it really look like the town is built on various different foundations as it comes up here. That should be fairly visible, I think. Yeah, I'm happy with that there. That's quite nice. We could also use this side of the water as well. Although I'm not sure what's going to fill these spaces. If you have any ideas, we do have a lot of countryside building to do around here. So maybe the occasional highway rest stop might fit in nicely just to help fill these space. So if you have any ideas, I think we'll also do something with the satellites and kind of the spacey kind of stuff out here as well. A bit of a kind of observatory perhaps. Something like that. Quite try to find a way to use some of the quirkier assets. So they're growing up. We should hopefully have these fill in with businesses as well. I do just want to check because zoned industry in Egginburgh these days almost always grows in as grain storage. So we'll zone in a little bit and see if it still does that, but we'll hopefully find it doesn't. So I'd love to have people try and use this little pathway we set up during the road structure episode. So let's turn our attention down toward this waterfront here. I think I would like some commercial along here, but currently there's zero commercial demand, so we'll have to wait for that to come in a little bit, otherwise it's all going to be abandoned businesses. But I think a little bit of European waterfront housing down here where we have the low density demands actually might work quite well. It's a bit of a more luxurious place to live within Scotchdale. Plenty of waterfront homes, pretty much up to where the beach starts, I think. Which is here, isn't it? Yeah. All the way around here. I don't want it to get too dense either, remembering our kind of small town inspiration. So let's maybe end it there. And I think what we will do is turn this bottom highway road here into actual highway. Because I don't think we're going to be building here. Because the terrain's just a little bit too mental. And this can almost be a little fast track back into the industrial area, which will grow over time, of course. See, where we have smokestacks coming in, if we do get them, let's just filter down to remove sub-elements. And then we can get rid of those smokestacks if they come. Like I said, I want this to be much more kind of light local industry as opposed to major industrial areas like the port over there. Kind of want the smokestacks to be limited to that area rather than in the town here. So trim them off wherever we come across them. And then I might even use road upgrades here as well, actually. I don't want to overkey the pudding, so to speak. I think it is easy to get too wrapped up in these keys, but I think where it comes very close toward the water, we can probably get away with it. Just when we soften all this out here, it becomes a little bit more purposeful then, doesn't it? There we go. Something like that. And then I reckon a nice heavy tree line here. That might be quite cool. Getting some really nice network layering here, aren't we? Very fun. So that'll bring it back up to there. We can delete that road now. That's just where we wanted to have the markers come in. And now when we built this area, I wanted to maintain this little hill. So I reckon a little gazebo or something up here might be quite nice now. Let's come into our parks. Now, where was it? Is it residential props? We had the gazebos. Thought it would have been in parks. Yeah, they're here. So let's just grab a singular gazebo. Can we find the highest point? It's not too hard to discern, I don't think, is it? Trim back a few of these trees up this way. Let's have a single one there. Not too bad, is it? Looks like it might want to just level the terrain out for it a little bit. So it's not glitching on the terrain like that. Very nice. It's a little bit of a hilltop park. We'll trim back some more trees. And then I'd like this to be accessible from a few different points. So we'll have one pathway run this way, so that'll add topography view on as well. So that can go down there. Let's make a pedestrian crossing too where people can come in. And then we'll have existing geometry. Let's just have a little... Do you want a pedestrian crossing there? I suppose it can't hurt, can it? We might have some zone in this side. Wouldn't be averse to that actually, because I reckon we might be able to get some more key work in. Should just help bring a little bit of differentiation to the waterfront. I think it is in danger of becoming a little bit too same if we do the same all the way around. I think waterfront homes again. Let's have them here. Get them to go up. And let's push that back out again as well. And we could almost build some little private marinas down for these houses too. I wouldn't mind exploring how that could look actually. So let's come into our grid snap in with the pedestrian pathway. And essentially just want to box in all these zones here. So we end up with something that looks a little bit like that. And then again, coming back to our wonderful road upgrade tools, let's add key to the outside of them. I'm pretty happy with that. And then let's see if we can create a little bit of a private marina space for them. So the richer folk of Scotchdale, maybe the people that work out in Bourbon or live out here, taking the commuter train back into the city. So let's, I don't want it to be too big. Should we do, let's say 40 meters? And then we'll do this at intervals of 44. Want a road guideline here as well. Yeah, just something like that. And then let's do some very tiny at 16 meter piers out here. And then same process we did with the industrial ones. Let's grab all of these and set to the same height as, let's go for this one down in the middle. And then with that terrain now, we just want to find a slightly shallower point and then push that all back into the key. So that's where we need to do a little bit more road upgrading. Just to sort out these little entrance ways. Fantastic. And then just that back up toward the key there as well. I like how they even have the little support there before they drop down into the water as well. Is maybe a little too shallow though. So let's grab all of them again. Let's just have, I think one press of page up I think pulls them out, doesn't it? Cool, now we've got those houses coming in. Yeah, that's the aesthetic I want. So nice big waterfront villas that essentially have their own private access out onto the waterways, private marina, etc. I think that's a real nice addition to the beachfront properties, isn't it? Fantastic. And then up here, we can add lots more little props and whatnot. I think I'd actually really like to just accentuate that terrain layer there so it really kind of functions as a bit of a viewpoint. Just trim back the trees off of here as well. And then we can dive back into that prop menu. Let's come to park. Yes, wonderful. We can get lots of benches. Have a couple of these facing out across what is a little lake. And then let's maybe have a little kids play area up here too. A couple of swing sets and whatnot. And then let's grab some trees. We'll have some larger oaky numbers. Don't want to go too tree heavy either. The occasional apple tree. Just so it's a little kind of park viewpoint up here. Kind of makes a bit more use out of that natural mound we have around the road network as well, doesn't it? I'm pretty happy with that. But I think otherwise we have enough ideas to run into here with the detail and time-lapse. We're going to fill up more low density in these spaces. I don't think we need any more city services around here. We've got death, fire, health and police care all knocking around here now as well. Now continue to zone up more low density because we do have a little bit of demand spiking for it again. And then continue to plop in. Let's have a look here. Yeah, see here, all zoned industry again is just grain storage. So we might try working a little bit of that. I think I can tolerate these here, but I think the silos are a little bit too much out of the realm of my theme of kind of local light industry. I think that's verging too much on a bit of kind of actual heavy industry, if you like. Lots of tree work to do in these spaces here. Get some rocks as well, maybe even the occasional zigzag pedestrian path as well, so the Sims don't have to walk all the way around the road networks. Get lots of walkable shortcuts back up to this town centre. Now, how are the buses doing? They don't look overly busy. Let's have a look at the line. 4 passengers, 2% usage, so there's not a ton of people using it, is there? There's a couple of folks waiting for the stop out here, but otherwise they don't seem to be making a vast amount of use out of the commuter line. But at least the small town has a little bus service anyway. But either way, sit back, grab some snacks, and let's settle in for some detailing. And then we'll be right back. Right guys, let's have a little look around the new commuter town of Scotchdale, shall we? I really like the way it occupies this little headland by the water here. We'll start down here by the industry. We drew out more of those delivery piers, and a little bit of boulder and overgrowth work by the waterfront as well. I think really helps break up the relentless quay, if you like. I really like how this sits. We've got expanded detailing palettes on awkward corners where we had them. Pretty simple expansion of the prop palettes that we are presented. Not all of them have filled in. Some have and some haven't. I'm not sure what the reason is. We do get some larger ones over here. Sometimes they leave, sometimes they come, and sometimes they don't. So it is here for whenever the city wants to fulfill that industrial demand. I know it's a nice little tasteful local industrial waterfront, isn't it? Nothing too heavy, which I'm quite a fan of. More of that rock work continues around the shoreline before that highway road kicks in. We have had a couple of cars using it here as well. It's kind of a pretty quiet road, but kind of like that, especially as it passes under the bridges here. This is a really nice spot, isn't it? Big fan. Further down, we come to our waterfront housing where we have expanded those private marinas, and very much the vibe here of, you know, the rich and the wealthy of Edinburgh take the commuter train and work in those towers over there in Bourbon, catching the train, of course, directly from the town. So I really like how that turned out. A little bit of grass work and further props and detail up in this little elevated park, making use of the natural terrain that still lies around this area. And then the waterfront housing continues all across the beach. I don't want to do too much beach detailing here. I don't want this to be kind of like a tourist spot, very much a locals beach that the tourists of Egginburgh don't really know about. So this occupies the lakefront, where the roads do spill out into a national network, serving as an outside connection where we can see cars coming and going from that. And then preparing more future builds here as well. Not sure what should lie on this headland. Let me know if you have any ideas as to how we can use this coastline over here. This is right on the map boundary, so can't be anything too extravagant, but I feel like there would be a development here right on this coastline. So let me know what you think lies at the end of this road. Lots of trees in amongst the waterfront housing here with a little bit more texture work. Some nice country fence over here as well as you arrive from the outside connection into Scotchdale, with a very nice sight line down here, right? Lots of office space. Some of these have been historicalized because we had some very nice corner alignments over here, with the space between the beach and this top layer turned into walkable greenbelt with lots of paths connecting people through to different layers. Our graveyard is complete with just a simple arrangement of headstones, pathways and bushes. Things we're pretty used to in CS2 these days, but a really nice way to factor in service assets whilst kind of repurposing them away from just being a fire station. Now Scotchdale can have a little church. That low density vibe spills back up into the rail crossings where we have some more scattered low density out here. Just wanted some smaller, kind of overgrown, simpler homes as you arrive in from the National Highway Road here. There are some trees in the road there as well. Let's get rid of those. I also like how that turned out. It's all a real nice blending of kind of country rail lines as the rail passes through town into the centre here, where we have expanded the detailing palettes around the train station as that comes into the office park. Our elevated pathway is getting a nice bit of use now, which is always fun to see. Although people aren't using this side of the station, which is quite unusual. We're all gravitating toward this side and actually crossing the lines to get on the train on the other side of the platform. Don't know if these new stations are bugged or if it's something I've done, but can't really seem to stop that, so it is what it is. Another group of people here. The buses are getting a little bit of use back into to that industrial port over there. Did reduce the number of buses on the line down to 3 as well, as 5 seemed a little bit overkill, just for how busy. Hopefully we can see that pedestrian thing here. You see they're getting off, getting flattened by the incoming train. And everyone walks across. Not sure why they're doing that. It seems to be gravitating toward the path, maybe that's what's causing that. But yeah, they won't use this side of this train station at least. So then, as I say that, someone does use it, so maybe they are. But yeah, they do tend to cross the lines. Oh, would you look at that, they are using that. Is that the invisible pathway I set up? Maybe, I think it is, isn't it? Because I don't think otherwise they don't use that. If we can... Yeah, because we drew in this invisible pedestrian path here. But that is actually getting use. I didn't think it would, but yeah, we can make that staircase usable, which is quite nice. So the train station sits here. Lots of grass lining to respect this kind of central municipal town centre building is what I'm pretending it is rather than a school. which is all really nice and landscaped, and people are making use of all this green belt that just allows that building to breathe as a bit of a town centre asset, doesn't it? Great sight lines up and down here on the approach into Scotchdale as well. So it all turned out really nicely. I really like building these smaller towns working on a smaller scale, and it occupies a really nice bit of land. In terms of where we'll see more of these, there is potential for one here as well. We definitely want to develop something on this side of the map as well, because we've got quite a bit of unused land here. So maybe another little commuter town, because we've got really convenient rail and highway connections over this side of the totally undeveloped map as well. As a bit of a opposite town to Inverness. Maybe we can do some more of the canals this side as well if we want to kind of expand that design. So expect some more commuter towns over here as well as Egginburgh continues to progress. But otherwise, I really like building them, and it's a lot of fun. We'll definitely have more of them as the town continues to grow. I also love as well that you can see, if you were down on street level here, you can just see that observation tower of Bourbon, which is something I really appreciate in CS2. Yeah, kind of the grander scale of the game is allowing us to create a much larger sense of scale and distance, isn't it? So just those visible high rises way off in the distance, which I think looks really good. So I'm super happy with it. But otherwise, guys, we'll leave it there. Let's thank you all so much indeed for watching. If you have enjoyed it, likes, comments, and shares below always help the channel. There are links down to Instant Gaming and Patreon should you wish to help support the videos. Get yourself a good deal in return for supporting the channel and some more egg content. If you are interested, there's early access and podcasts and previews and lots more over on the Patreon. Massive shout out to those patrons supporting the videos, with a special roll call to Louis Adlam, Andrew Perez, and O'Hay Casino. Thank you for all your support, legends. I really appreciate everything you do. And don't forget to get those suggestions as to what more rural builds you guys want to see. I definitely want to get some highway rest stops knocking about here, because we've got so much empty space to fill. And I feel like we can get lots of personalised little builds across here as well. We'll definitely do something with the satellite uplink as a bit of a, I guess, kind of space observation slash observatory kind of type build out in the sticks where it's all dark. So expect that at some point too. Otherwise, Egginburgh is progressing nicely. I imagine we'll kind of draw this series to a close as the Detailers Patch 2 arrives, which will bring the vanilla line tool in, at which point I think we'll look to round out Egginburgh and maybe bring in the Cities Skylines to Noob's Guide as that vanilla experience continues to improve. But otherwise, please do enjoy today's cinematic spot. Shut up and leave it there. Let's thank you all so much indeed for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.